أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum. Today's talk is the fourth talk on the topic of the riba, meaning interest or usury, stealing or grabbing the wealth of the other people by unfair means. Today's talk covers verses from the Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 278 to 281, and verse number 33 of the Surah Al-Ma'idah. Today's topic is aimed at what is the way out of riba, out of interest, out of usury, and what is the advisory given in the Kitabullah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people whose practices are like that they are indulged in eating the interest or consuming the wealth and the property of the other people by unfair means. Verse number 278 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing to the believers. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wazaru ma baqiya min ar-riba in kuntum mu'minin. O you who have attained to faith, remain conscious of God and give up all outstanding gains from usury if you are truly believers. In this verse of the Kitabullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has addressed the believers, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O people who have attained to faith, ittaqullah, acquire the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be conscious of your Rabb, of your sustainer, and acquire the discipline in your life as advised in the Kitabullah. Wazaru ma baqiya min ar-riba, and give up and leave whatsoever your gains are left in the usury or interest, in kuntum mu'minin, if you are truly believers. Verse number 279, Surah Al-Baqarah. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَإِن تُبْتُمْ فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. For if you do it not, then know that you are at war with God and his apostle, but if you repent, then you shall be entitled to the return of your principal. You will do no wrong, and neither you will be wronged. Let us concentrate and pay heed to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is advising, addressing, and cautioning the people who are eating and consuming riba. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا, but if you don't do this, and if you don't change your practices, and you keep on eating, consuming interest, riba, usury, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, then know that you are at war with Allah and his apostle and to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. وَإِن تُبْتُمْ, and if you repent and if you change your practices, فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ, then it is your right to have your capital back, your principal amount back. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the term amwal, or singular is mal. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not using the term of money or dinar or dirham. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using the term mal or amwal, which means your possessions. So the possessions include anything starting from dirham, dinars, money, currency, silver, gold, cattle, land, property, any possession anything which a person can possess comes in the category of mal. So money and goods and cattle and anything which a person can possess, riba applies to each and everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking that if you repent, is saying if you repent, then it is your right to have your capital back, your principal amount back, or the equivalent of it which you have given. La tazlimuna wa la tuzlamun. You will do no wrong, and neither you will be wronged. You will be doing no injustice, and no injustice will be done to you. Verse number 280 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Wa in kana zu usratin fa naziratun ila maisara wa an tasaddaku khairul lakum in kuntum ta'lamun. If, however, the debtor is in straitened circumstances, grant him a delay until a time of ease, and it would be for your own good, if you but knew it, to remit the debt entirely by way of charity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is further addressing and asking the people who consume riba in the verse number 280 of Surah Al-Baqarah, wa in kana zu usratin, and if your debtor is having economic difficulties and his hands are straitened, he is finding it difficult to give it back what you own from your capital or principal. For naziratun ila maisara, so give him some time, give him a delay until a time of ease. Wan tasaddaku, but if you give out even your principal amount or your capital amount in charity, and if you give out your principal amount, capital amount in charity, khairul lakum, so it will be even better for you. In kuntum ta'lamun, if you know it. Verse number 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Wattaku yawman turja'una fiha, wattaku yawman turja'una fihi ila Allah, summa tuwaffa kullu nafsim ma qasabat wa hum la yuzlamun. And be conscious of the day on which you shall be brought back unto God, whereupon every human being shall be repaid in full for what he has earned, and none shall be wronged. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing here, Wattaku yawman, so remain conscious of a day, the day of judgment, day of resurrection, Yawmul Haq, Yawmul Fasl, Yawmul Deen, Yawmul Jum'ah, the Yawmul Qiyamah. Remain conscious, always be mindful of the day of meeting with your Lord, with your Allah, with your God. Turja'una fihi ilallah, and all of you are going to be brought back towards Allah, your God, because He is the source. Summa tuwaffa kullu nafsim ma qasabat, and He is going to whereupon every human being shall be paid in full, shall be repaid in full for what he has earned. Wahum la yuzlamun, and no injustice would be done to anyone, to any nafs. Now I'm going to Surah Al-Ma'idah. I'm going to recite the verse number 33 of the Surah Al-Ma'idah. In this verse of the Kitab-e-Aziz, Furqan-e Hamid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has announced the punishment of the people who do harb, who go at war with Allah and His apostle. So riba, or consuming usury or interest, is one form of harb, means going at war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this verse of the Kitab-e-Aziz, verse number 33 of Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has announced the punishment of the people who go at war with Him and His apostle. إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يسلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف أو ينفوا من الأرض ذلك لهم خزي في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم. It is but a just recompense. It is but a just recompense for those who make war on God and his apostle and endeavor to spread corruption on earth, that they are being slain in great numbers or crucified in great numbers, or have in result of their perverseness their hands and feet cut off in great numbers, or are being entirely banished from the face of the earth. Such is their ignominy in this world, but in the life to come, yet more awesome suffering awaits them. Let us concentrate to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing here. إِنَّمَا جُزَاءُ الَّذِينَ يُحَارِبُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, that the only punishment or only recompensation for those people, for those communities who go at war with Allah, with God and his apostle, and to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz, وَيَسْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَسَادًا, and they strive, and those communities, what else they do? They strive to spread corruption on this earth. Riba is one of the worst form of corruption on this earth. So what is the punishment? أَن يُقَتَّلُوا أَوْ يُسَلَّبُوا, that they might be slain in great numbers or maybe crucified in great numbers. أَوْ تُقَطَّعَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلُهُمْ مِنْ خِلَافٍ, or have in the result of the perverseness their hands and feet cut off in great number, or yunfaw min al arz, or they might be completely banished from the face of the earth. Zalika lahum khizyun fid dunya, so this is the humiliation, this is their ignominy which they are going to face in this world. Walahum fil akhirati azabun azim, and even a greater suffering, awesome suffering awaits them at the day of judgment. So this is the basically punishment which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has announced for the people who go at war with Allah and his apostle. And we have seen in the history that different forms of revolutions they do come in those communities where there's system of riba, and there's a greater and greater division in the society between the rich and the poor, and finally it leads to collapse of that society. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a term for each individual, for each community, and he keeps on waiting for that particular term, and when that term arrives, Allah's punishment does arrive. So I do think that the message would not be complete but without inclusion of the verse number 34 of the Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is the continuation of the message which is being given in the verse number 33 of the Surah Al-Ma'idah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafurur Rahim. He is the most merciful and dispenser of grace, and he has enjoined upon himself the law of Rahmah, the law of grace and mercy. He wants to bless the mankind with his mercy and blessing. He does not want to punish the mankind, but it is the mankind itself which go at war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, against the messages and the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make himself deserving for the punishment which he has warned of in this Kitabullah, Furqan Hamid, Kitab-e-Aziz. In the verse number 34 of Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا مِن قَبْلِ أَن تَقْدِرُوا عَلَيْهِمْ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, except for such of them as repent before you, O believers, become more powerful than they, for you must know that God is much forgiving, a dispenser of grace. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ, except for those people who are eating riba, who are consuming riba, but what they do, tabu, they repent and they change their practices. Min kab, before that time, an taqdiru alayhim, before that time comes when, O believers, you overpower them and you become more powerful than them. فَعْلَمُوا, and you must know, O believers, O people who have attained to faith, أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ Rahim, that Allah, your God, is much forgiving and a dispenser of grace. Riba is the worst form of corruption which is present on the face of the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited riba in all its forms, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't described anything which is exempt from riba, which can come in a person's possession. And the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz are an advisory, and they are a source of blessing and rahmah to acquire the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whosoever adopts the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz and changes his practices according to the commandments given in the Kitabullah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Ghafurur Rahim. He is the most forgiving and dispenser of grace. I seek Allah's forgiveness if there's any shortcoming in the delivery of the message. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَّسِينَا وَأَخْطَأْنَا رَبَّنَا وَلَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا كَمَا حَمَلْتَهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِنَا رَبَّنَا وَلَا تُحَمِّلْنَا مَا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا بِهِ وَاعْفُ عَنَّا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا وَارْحَمْنَا أَنْتَ مَوْلَانَا فَانصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. جزاكم الله خير.